We all remember that Stalin famously asked at some point during the Second World War, how many divisions has the Pope? Well, he got his answer in June '79, more than Stalin could imagine. Many more divisions than Stalin could imagine.
Perhaps at no time in the 20th century had one man so influenced the nation. It sparked a great movement of human liberation throughout Eastern Europe.
A revolution of conscience that confronted the lies of Marxism and Leninism. It led to the freedom of millions.
Paus Johannes Paulus II wordt geboren in 1920 in het Poolse Wadowice als Karol Wojtyła. In 1978 wordt hij gekozen als paus, de eerste niet-Italiaanse paus sinds 450 jaar.
Less than a year after his installation, John Paul returned to his native Poland, the first papal trip ever to a communist country.
They had a revolution on their hands if they couldn't see a Polish pope in Poland.
For communism in Poland, it was the beginning of the end.
Right after he was elected pope, because once he came to Poland, it just united the people of Poland.
3 million Poles, twice the population of Warsaw, came out to welcome him home. The city's Victory Square was turned into an open-air cathedral for a papal mass. Among the witnesses was CBS News correspondent Tom Fenton.
It was, most of all, his sermon that the crowd was waiting for.
The visit inspired the Poles to unite against the country's communist regime. Workers created an independent labor movement called Solidarity the following year. At its helm was Lech Wałęsa, a young shipyard electrician. Solidarity staged a strike in Gdansk, site of Poland's biggest shipyard. Soon the whole nation was rocked by strikes and uprisings. Barely a year after the movement was launched, it had more than 10 million members.
In 1981 wordt hij het doelwit van een moordaanslag, vermoedelijk gepleegd in opdracht van Moskou. Johannes Paulus II overleeft het op het nippertje.
In December 1981, the Polish government outlawed Solidarity and imposed martial law. But John Paul II showed his support for the movement by denouncing the false peace of totalitarian regimes in his New Year's address. In St. Peter's Square, crowds cheered his rallying cry for freedom. The Pope returned to Poland next in 1983, when the country was still in the throes of martial law, occupied by its own army. At a time when the hopes of Poland's people were flagging, the Pope's visit renewed their faith in their cause.
It was stunning, and you knew then that the Poles would never give up, that the communists would never win, and that it was just a matter of time before the whole thing collapsed.
When John Paul returned to Poland in 1987, the landscape had changed dramatically. It would take just one more push from the Pope for the regime to topple altogether. And there was no better place for this than the shipyard city of Gdansk, the birthplace of Solidarity.
They basically seal off the town. There are roadblocks everywhere. They try to limit the numbers. But out in this field, what was the size of the crowd? 500,000, 1 million, who knows? Bigger than the population of the town. It was almost as if the futility of the Polish state was demonstrated in contrast to the power of the people being expressed at that mass in Gdansk.
But in urging support for the workers, the word he used repeatedly was solidarity. A new round of strikes led Poles directly to the ballot box. In 1989, they held their first freely contested election since World War II. Solidarity won in a landslide. The shake he gave in Poland reverberated throughout the Iron Curtain countries. Across the Eastern Bloc, people began asking, if the Poles can rise up, why can't we? The fact is, they could.
Polen wordt een democratie, andere Oostbloklanden volgen. Uiteindelijk bezwijkt zelfs het communisme in de Sovjet-Unie.
The 9 days of John Paul II in June 1979 were 9 days on which the history of the 20th century turned.